What's going on, guys? We are back once again, and we are going to be discussing another show from my childhood that I remember watching a lot. Now, again, some of you guys may remember this, some of you may not. This came out, man, I know I'm old when I say this. I may not be that old, even though I'm a 90s kid. This came out in 78 different strokes. Now, a lot of you may say, hey, I remember that show. And the classic line from Gary Coleman of, "What you talking about, Willis?" That line became a household name. And this show really explored a lot of areas that we're going to get into, as well as also what I thought about this show growing up, how I enjoyed it, what was my favorite episodes, things of that nature. So, without further ado, this held on for 8 seasons. I don't remember watching all 8 seasons when I was younger. Because again, guys, I was born in the 90s. I grew up watching a lot of different shows. I remember I thought this was a 90s show. I really did. Unfortunately, most of this cast is unfortunately gone. And, may they rest, such as, Gary Coleman. We got Dana Plato. She's gone, unfortunately. We got Conrad Bain, who played Mr. Drummond. The only one that is really still around is Todd Bridges. I think he's the last one that is around to be able to still remember the times that this cast had. Now, I do remember watching this for the first time, and I laughed so hard. So the entire basis of this show is, and if I remember correctly, I want to say we had, of course, Willis and Arnold, who are the main characters of the show. They get adopted / brought to the other main character of the story, Mr. Drummond, who is a very rich white male in, I believe it was in New York. And he pretty much brings them into his home. He already has a daughter, and they pretty much adopt him into this family due to they lost their father, then they lost their mother, and I think their mother was working for Mr. Drummond, and then she had in her will, because of how much of a nice person he was, that if anything happened to her, he would gain custody of them too and raise them like his own. And he does. He really does. He takes these two kids in and he raises them like his own sons, because he never really had sons, and in this way he got to have sons. And it takes a while for them to call him dad, and they slowly start, calling him dad. I think, Willis takes a little bit to say dad, so does Arnold. But at the same time, it shows where they're still trying to learn the lessons that their mom and dad taught them before they moved in with Mr. Drummond. But at the same time, all the lessons that Mr. Drummond is trying to teach them. So there was a lot of things that was shown in this, not only from bullying, from racism, from poverty, from high-class lifestyle, as well as also difference in opinion. They covered a lot of different things within this time period that, again, still get brought up to this day, and maybe still, lessons like this maybe need to be brought up more in today's era, because a lot of people, sometimes they still take things either too serious, or they don't take things enough seriously, depending on your point of view. I think there's a very interesting point where I think, and this is really weird, and it's funny now when you think about it nowadays, how Arnold was getting picked on by these two older guys that was bullying him and his friend. Willis steps in, and I think they beat up Willis because of Willis stepping in. And then there was another episode where Arnold was terrified of losing Mr. Drummond due to a possible plane crash, or him getting into some accident due to him possibly dying. And it really bothered him, and he was very scared. He was having night terrors about it, and finally realizing, hey, he cares about, him a lot more than what he originally thought, or about Willis not remembering his father, or about how I think there's a lot of good lessons in the show. There really is. And I want to say there was another one where Willis had to spank Arnold instead of allowing Mr. Drummond to spank him because he felt like it was his responsibility to spank him because of him being the older brother and his mom and dad being no longer around and being, alive. And then there was another episode to where Arnold, there was a lot of things in this show that really brought up a lot of different life lessons, about Arnold's height that actually, had to really deal with Gary Coleman, about how tall he was. And then also, I want to say about with some of the other casts. Again, Kimberly, she was probably a heartthrob in her day. She probably really was. I think one of the most moments that I know I remember is when Arnold was in the hospital and he met another little girl. They became very good friends, and the father did not like Arnold because he was black, and this really, really heavily went on racism and how Kimberly stepped on him because of what Willis was saying, you tell him blood. And it basically did show, and I fully agree, family don't end with blood. Loyalty makes you family, as well as also being there for one another, and that really is what it meant. And Willis and Arnold really showed how much between Mrs. Garrett, who was the maid, also Mr. Drummond, who they were there for them, and then among others, and they really explored how life was from where they went to here. And one of my favorite, funniest moments is when Mr. Drummond's like, "Oh, well, I've never seen a black gold bitch before," and I was like, "That's okay. He's never seen a rich white man before either." It's just these classic one-liners that Gary Coleman was able to deliver, and just how amazing it was. And I really enjoyed this show. I really did. I think I remember this one episode. I don't remember fully what happens. Is where Arnold and Willis was at odds, and they wanted to split the room, and they were in bunk beds. Like one went out further, one was on top. Arnold was on the top, Willis was at the bottom, and just I can't remember fully on the story. So if you guys remember, by all means, please let me know, because I really don't remember that episode. I may have to find it and see what happens. Or when Arnold is trying to not eat a whole lot of junk food. I remember that episode, so that was a lot of fun, especially with him putting different food in different places to hide it, or when he was trying to deal with a bully who kept on trying to get on him for playing basketball in the hotel area or in the penthouse area, and he didn't, and things of that nature. So again, this show really did explore a lot of, at the time, I guess, uncomfortable views / talks, as well as also different things from interracial relationships, racism, poverty, being in high class, low class, also, loyalty, love, family, all that stuff. They really hit a lot of different nerves in this particular show. And at the time, that was a good thing to do, especially with how the times were changing. Times still are changing. And I really enjoyed this show. I really did. I really missed this show. I don't remember watching a lot of it, but I do remember watching a good amount of it at the same time, because there's so much episodes where it feels like it's a blur to me due to how much I watched, and there's some moments that I really remember. There's some moments I don't. But either way, I would definitely say, if you guys never watched Different Strokes, definitely give it a shot. It's a great show. It's a great series. It's got great acting in there. A lot of old school moments in this show. So if you grew up in like the 80s, the 90s, or even early 2000s, definitely give this show a shot. Like, let me know what you guys think about it. If you guys never watched it, give it a shot. If you have, let me know what you guys thought about it. What was your favorite episode? Who was your favorite character? Mine obviously was Arnold. I think Arnold was just, the funniest kid in the room. He just kind of made, when he entered the room, he just kind of lighted up to where, like, hey, I'm the center of the attention. I'm going to be the funniest guy in the room. And that's just pretty much how I always took it. And I always enjoyed Arnold's, straight one-liners or comebacks of what he had, because you never know what was going to come out of his mouth. So I really enjoyed it. But let me know what you guys think about this down in the comments. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Also, what were your thoughts on Different Strokes? If you guys remember watching, if you don't, either way, that's fine. But let me know your thoughts about it down in the comments. And I'll see you as always on the next one.